No, it's not salvia because they're selling it. They don't sell salvia at Hunky Dory, right? They do sell spice at Hunky Dory. So it's legal because they ain't saying what's in it. So people are smoking this to get high, right? So again, the logic is, and so this is, yeah, perfectly an addictive behavior. Go back to slide in the control room, all right? All right, so when this logic leads to farming, snorting, smoking spice, overdosing on Viagra, that is, oh, I need to be up for a track meet. So this high school track athlete goes across the street to, this is Churchill, so she goes to McKay's or whatever that store is now and buys a pack of Viagra. You know, you're only supposed to take one Viagra, she takes 10. The logic being, if one's good, 10 is better. Because I want to perform really well in this track meet, and it's not really doping because it's a legal drug, right? That's the logic chain. It's not true, but it makes sense within the logic, right? 1 is good, 10 is better. So, lizard brain. So you have 4 brains. Lizard brain. If it worked once, we'll do it again. Every time we face the same situation or a related situation. So this is part of where drug cravings come from. Even though it stopped working, lizard brain throws this up because the brain is a problem-solving, a pattern-making device. And lizard brain is about survival. So, pain, loss, and fear. This is what works to relieve my pain, loss, and fear before. Even though it didn't completely work, it partially made me not feel the pain, loss, and fear. So let's repeat it. So pain, loss, and fear cause stress. Sugar relieves stress. So when I feel stressed, let me eat a quart of ice cream, chocolate, or rum raisin, hoggy, or whatever your particular thing is. Okay? Mine is salty almonds or salty peanuts. Not so much chocolate. Right? So if I notice your characteristics around pain, loss, and fear, what do you do automatically without thinking when you experience those feelings? If you're not thinking, it's lizard brain involved. Because lizard brain is designed to give you quick survival answers. Now you have other parts to your brain too. Okay, so a healthy neurochemical balance, even though we haven't defined what that is as a ratio of the 85 or so neurochemicals that we have, even though we haven't established what that balance is, we know that is supported by good nutrition. So pharmaceutical drugs, as an unadvertised side effect, drain you of certain vitamins and minerals, partially because of where you get vitamins and minerals in food, and then processed by the liver, and partially by their effect on the liver. You're changing the balance by taking this drug. And of course, they're not going to put that in the patient insert because they haven't studied it, because the lack of vitamins ain't going to kill you immediately. But it might have certain effects on you long term if you're on the med. All right, so food itself, of course, can be a drug, particularly processed food with high sugar and salt, in addition to whatever chemical additives within the food, as well as the processes used in making the food, make it harder to assimilate. So hydration, so recommended. So half your weight in ounces daily. So if you weigh 200 pounds, 100 ounces of water a day. Slightly less than a gallon. Start working up to doing that. All right, so 4 brains. Lizard brain, mammal brain, human brain, angel brain, and I'll actually go through these in order of their appearance. So yes, you have one brain, okay? But as a function of evolution, what your brain is starting with what the earliest brain of the creatures that we evolved from, and then as evolution added more complexity, we came to who we are. So I will show you those in order. 4 brains. Lizard brain. So lizard brain deals with fear, pain, and survival. The mammalian brain, herd instinct, social functioning and nurturing, self-nurturing and nurturing of others. Human brain, thinking and cognition. Angel brain, the executive function. So executive function means it can overrule all the other brains and do future planning, can deal with intuition. This is also your spirituality, and it can also deal with planning. Now, all 4 of these can be involved with addiction. And they all have their place in healthy functioning, too. But a lot of times what gets us in trouble, we think too much and don't feel enough. All right, lizard brain. I will watch my language. Children may be watching. All right, so lizard brain looks like this. This is a velociraptor. If you remember the velociraptors from Jurassic Park, okay? Highly intelligent apex predators. Basically, the reptilian brain, the brain stem, the inner core, the deepest part of the brain, the lower brain as it's called, is concerned with 3 things. Can I eat it? Will it eat me? Can I copulate with it? Which goes like this. Approach pleasure. Can I eat it? Fear and flee pain. Will it eat me? Can I copulate with it? Repeat pleasure. Okay? So as a reflex, we look for what I refer to as brain reward. You've heard me talk about that. So different addictive behaviors all engage brain reward, of which dopamine is one of the primary neurotransmitters for brain reward. All right? And primarily your brain is hardwired, your survival activity is hardwired to repeat pleasurable activity. So you're thirsty, you drink. Ah, feels good. Repeat it. Sleepy, you sleep. Ah, wake up. Ah, feel better. Sex. Ah, hunger. Ah, gets all repeated. Now, anything that then is hardwired to, so remember when I did the thing about fire engines? Why fire engines are red, okay? Now, if it produces pleasure, no matter how off the wall, engages that system. Ah, right? So that's why you have these addictive triggers that are happening. Lizard brain is basically saying, oh, this worked when we were in stress, let's do it again, without thinking. It just becomes a reflex. Think, do, think, do. I'm in pain, ah. How do I produce that, right? So, reflex without thinking is an addictive behavior. So, what are your repetitive patterns with food, drugs, money? What do you fear, and how do you act reflexively out of fear? What are your reflex responses around loss and pain? So, for example, gambling or video games. Okay, so the first place that we saw addiction with video games is like poker. Okay, now when you play poker with a human being, if you're watching the cards, or even if they don't know how to stack the deck, then your winning actually depends on your skill and the way the cards come out randomly. You may not know this, but video games are programmed to take your money. Yes, they are. Okay, somebody actually did a social recon because she worked in a bar, and when a machine starts paying off, somebody from Salem comes and changes the code so it starts paying out less. It's designed to take your money. It's not random like a human being. So you're trying to beat this machine which is designed to take your money. But you wouldn't suspect that unless, now I just told you what the deal is. It's designed to take your money. Okay, so you won't, now common sense, angel brain would tell you, look, you gamble with money you have to throw away. Ain't got no money to throw away? Don't gamble. But lizard brain says, oh, I need to feel powerful, I need to feel powerful, I'm stressed about money, I need to win this money back, boom, 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 and reflex. I can't think, I'm a lizard. Can I eat it? Will it eat me? Repeat pleasure. Mammalian brain, the limbic system. So this is the seat of the emotions. So it's herd instinct. So addictive systems using peer group. Hey, my friends are smoking heroin. Well, smoking heroin isn't as bad as needles. Not true, but I think that. So, oh, well, let's smoke heroin. Oh, let's smoke oxys. How's that normal behavior? Oh, well, it's a peer using group. Addictive using peer group. So, gambling, shopping, spending, chronic debting, keeping up with the Joneses, outspending the Joneses. Notice that this is basically all emotional based, and it also has to do with herd behavior. You're going along with what the crowd is. This is different than lizard brain because you are thinking about the consequences in relation to a specific peer group. This is why 12 steps is powerful in terms of recovery, because you have a non-drug using peer group. The substitute for your addictive using peer group. So the limbic system. Emotions. So sheep. Bad. Okay, who do I run with? The neocortex. The neocortex, wrapped around the limbic system, gives us rational thought. So for example, with money though, how much of your thought is actually rational regarding it? Your buying choices. The fact that when you looked at your social recons, why do they have the quick sale stuff next to the register? The impulse buying stuff. Rationally, you shouldn't be buying it, but you do. You're making an emotional decision based on what exactly? So that's partially limbic system, and that's partially the neocortex. Neocortex gives us rational thought, basically. Okay, so brain 3, wrapped around brain 2, the neocortex, primates, particularly human primates. So for example, these are chimpanzees, these are bonobos. So bonobos and chimpanzees are 98% identical, but there are some slight differences. And we are closer to bonobos than we are to chimps. And the reason I'm showing, I know this is a family restaurant, but hey, the reason I'm showing bonobos having sex is because we have, as part of our genome, the same gene that reinforces bonding using oxytocin and other chemicals released during orgasm for social bonding. Okay, so where sex addiction becomes a problem, the reason it works is because of this factor. Okay? Bonobos use sex to resolve conflict. Now, I don't obviously recommend using sex to resolve all conflict. Okay? So some of us use sex to resolve conflict, some of us use aggression. And then angel brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is the last one to evolve in the human, last one to evolve in terms of time, and it's also the last one to evolve starting at about age 15 in humans and continuing to 22, though in females it starts evolving earlier. Probably more fully, and there are definitely specific survival adaptations for that. As the old Calypso song, the women are smarter. Yeah, you want the women smarter if you want to perpetuate the species, because us knuckle draggers wouldn't do certain things. So the basic activity of this brain region is considered to be orchestration of thoughts and actions in accordance with internal goals. The most typical neurologic term for a function carried out by the prefrontal cortex is executive function. The idea behind the money assignment, which we haven't had yet, was it's an exercise to develop the executive function. That is, in the prefrontal cortex, the reason that adolescence is such an issue is adolescence, until this cortex develops, cannot conceive of a future. They cannot connect present actions with future consequences. Just can't do it. What were you thinking? They weren't thinking, because they're not thinking of a future yet. They don't have the brains to do it unless they're female, and sometimes not even then.
Wait, so for female it starts around
With everybody it starts in 15 theoretically, but in females it develops faster. So relate to abilities to differentiate among conflicting thoughts, determining good and bad, better and best, same and different, future consequences of current activities, working towards a defined goal, prediction of outcomes, expectation based on actions, and social control. So it also means the ability to suppress urges that, if not suppressed, could lead to socially unacceptable outcomes. Copy that. I don't mean you literally copy this, but 2 minutes. Okay, so a lot of authors writing about this have indicated a link between a person's personality and the functions of the prefrontal cortex. Yeah, think about options. Can you conceive of options? Can you clearly see that there's consequences to your actions? Can you override your urges based on consequences? Look, getting somebody pregnant, for example, is not just, oh, do we have an abortion or not? No, do you have the ability to be able to have a job to stabilize the kid for the next 18 years? If you're 18 years old, you can't actually conceive of 18 years in the future. Yet. Yeah.
So if you start major drug use at the age when this is supposed to be developing, that would have a huge impact on
It would have a huge impact. In fact, lots of drug use is associated with developmental delay.
Because all those things that describes the person that I spoke about earlier
Yeah.
in their drug use,
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense
Yes.
that they started it a little bit before that age.
Right.
And that didn't really ever develop
Right.
very well.
This is stuff that's not taught in school because the school assumes that you've got this already from your home training. Unless you were raised by wolves or meth cooks or other drug users. among other people. All right, we'll continue this more on Thursday.